Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anupama, Professor at Department of Economics, Punjabi University, Patiala. I am going to talk about the module UN Habitat Agendas, Past, Present and Future, from Population, Urbanization and Poverty. So students, we are going to discuss about the historical developments that have led to adoption of UN Habitat Agenda. We will also discuss its aims, achievements, recent activities and the future plans. This module aims to throw light on the questions: what is UN Habitat Agenda? What are the historical developments behind the adoption of UN Habitat Agenda? What are the goals and principles of UN Habitat Agenda? How the goals of the UN Habitat Agenda are achieved? What are the recent additions to the UN Habitat Agenda? What are the future plans of UN Habitat Agenda? And what are the recent activities of UN Habitat Agenda? The world is growing to be increasingly urban. The cities are being seen as a hub of growing opportunities and therefore prosperity and improvement in the well-being of the residents. However, if this prosperity is not shared equally among all, or the gains of the few are at the cost of the masses, the cities also may become the locus of scarcities and miseries. Due to such inequalities, not only are we living in an urbanizing world, we are also experiencing an unprecedented urbanization of poverty. In most cities of the developing world, up to one-half of the urban population lives in informal, slum, and squatter settlements. These are neither legally recognized nor serviced by city authorities. At least 600 million urban residents in the developing countries, and the number are growing, live in a poor quality housing with adequate provision of water, sanitation and drainage. As a result, their lives and health are under continuous threat. For them, urban living has become a nightmare, far removed from the dreams of safety and prosperity held out by city visionaries. Cities are and will remain the centers of global finance, industry and communications, home to a wealth of cultural diversity and political dynamism, immensely productive, creative and innovative. However, they have also become breeding grounds for pollution and congestion. Unsustainable patterns of consumption among dense city populations, concentration of industries, intense economic activities, increased use of motor vehicles, and inefficient waste management all suggest that the major environmental problem of the future will be city problems. Poor urban governance and bad policies have further exacerbated environmental degradation and deteriorating living conditions in many cities. However, the developing countries may be underprepared and under-resourced for meeting the challenges of growing urbanization. Keeping these issues in the perspective, the second United Nations Conference on Human Settlements, that is Habitat 2, was held in Istanbul, Turkey in June 1996. It recognized that more holistic, inclusive and participatory policies, strategies and actions are required to make the world's cities and communities safe, healthy and equitable. This conference aimed to search for experiences and best practices that demonstrate practical way of meeting the challenges of urbanization. The Habitat Agenda, adopted by 171 governments, offers a positive vision of cities and provides a practical roadmap to an urbanizing world. An important message of the agenda was that good urban governance is a precondition for sustainable urban development and the eradication of urban poverty. The establishment of UN Habitat and its origin were shaped by two landmark international conferences: the United Nations Conference on Human Environment, held in Stockholm in 1972, and the Global Conference of United Nations on Human Settlements, held in Vancouver, Canada in 1976. As a result of the Vancouver Conference, the precursors of UN Habitat were created in form of both the United Nations Commission on Human Settlements, an intergovernmental body, and the United Nations Center for Human Settlements, also known simply as Habitat, on 19 December 1977. However, between 1978 and 1997, urbanization agenda had meager support and an unfocused mandate, and so for nearly 2 decades of its existence, UNCHS remained a small technical agency. In 1996, the second United Nations Conference on Human Settlements, or Habitat II, adopted the Istanbul Declaration and the Habitat Agenda. This gave UNCHS a new explicit normative mandate. It was charged with the responsibility to support and monitor the implementation of the Habitat Agenda. From 1997 to 2002, by which time half the world had become urban, UN Habitat, guided by the Habitat Agenda and the Millennium Declaration, underwent a major revitalization, using its experience to identify the emerging issues. In 2002, governments attending the World Summit on Sustainable Development further mandated UN Habitat to monitor and report on progress towards the achievement of Millennium Development Goals on access to safe drinking water and halving the proportion of the people who do not have access to basic sanitation by 2015. This revitalization has placed UN Habitat squarely in the middle of the UN's development agenda for poverty reduction, with a more streamlined and effective structure and staff, and a more relevant and focused set of programs and priorities. It is through this structure and mandate that UN Habitat contributes to the overall objective of the United Nations system to reduce poverty and to promote sustainable development. Its partners range from governments and local authorities to a wide range of international non-governmental organizations and civil society groups. UN Habitat is now the focal point for all urbanization and human settlement matters within the UN system. Now, the United Nations General Assembly has decided to convene a third United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development, that is Habitat III, in 2016. The main objective of the conference is to reinvigorate the global commitment to sustainable urban development, focusing on implementation of a new urban agenda. Now let us discuss about the goals and principles of Habitat Agenda. In 1996 conference, the 171 participant countries committed to follow these principles. The principles, in its treatment of Habitat's two themes, adequate shelter for all and sustainable human settlements development in an urbanizing world, the Habitat Agenda includes discussions of many related issues such as healthcare, nutrition, water, and sanitation. It links human settlement problems to the need to eradicate poverty and generate jobs, and to the particular concerns of women and the disadvantaged. It aims to establish new partnership for action among the national governments and NGOs, local authorities, the private sector, and many others. So the next goal is the development of sustainable human settlements. The agenda commits sustainable human settlements in an urbanizing world by developing societies that will make efficient use of resources within the carrying capacity of ecosystems, and by providing all people, in particular those belonging to vulnerable and disadvantaged groups, with equal opportunities for a healthy, safe, and productive life in harmony with nature and their cultural heritage and spiritual and cultural values, and which ensures economic and social development and environmental protection, thereby contributing to the achievement of national sustainable development goals. The goals. The Habitat Agenda has these goals to achieve. Firstly, adequate shelter for all. The Habitat Agenda is committed to the full and progressive realization of the right to adequate housing. The agenda aims at enabling people to obtain shelter and to protect and improve dwellings and neighborhoods on an equitable and sustainable basis, so that everyone will have adequate shelter and is the agenda aims at enabling people to obtain shelter and to protect and improve dwellings and neighborhoods on an equitable and sustainable basis, so that everyone will have adequate shelter that is healthy, safe, secure, accessible, and affordable, and that includes basic services, facilities, and amenities. This objective further commits, firstly, ensuring the shelter policies and strategies as a social priority within the framework of national development programs. Secondly, providing legal security of tenure and equal access to ownership of land and other property, credit, natural resources, and appropriate technologies. Thirdly, promoting access to safe drinking water, sanitation, and other basic facilities and amenities. Fourthly, promoting non-discriminatory and appropriate financing for housing and for community development. Fifthly, promoting locally available, affordable, safe, efficient, and environmentally sound construction methods and technologies that emphasize optimal use of local human resources and encourage energy-saving methods that are protective of human health. Sixthly, it aims at designing and implementing standards that provide accessibility to persons with disabilities. It also aims at increasing the supply of affordable housing through partnerships among public, private, and community initiatives. It targets helping the family in its supporting, educating, and nurturing roles, and encouraging social and economic policies that are designed to meet the housing needs of the families and their individual members, especially the most disadvantaged and vulnerable members, with particular attention to the care of children. It also aims at promoting education and health for the homeless, displaced persons, indigenous people, women and children who are survivors of family violence, persons with disabilities, older persons, victims of natural and man-made disasters, and people belonging to vulnerable and disadvantaged groups. It aims at protecting the legal traditional rights of indigenous people to land and other resources. It also aims at protecting all people through legal protection from forced evictions, and when evictions are unavoidable, it aims at ensuring an appropriate alternative. Next goal of UN Habitat Agenda is financing shelter and human settlements. Since housing and shelter is a productive sector, it is necessary to strengthen the existing financial mechanisms. It requires mobilization of additional resources from international, national, regional, as well as at the local level. It is also recognized that the local institutions involved in microcredit hold a significant potential to finance the housing for the poor. This further leads to objectives of number 1, creating an enabling international and domestic environment for economic development, social development, environmental protection as independent and mutually reinforcing components of sustainable development that will attract investments, generate employment, contribute to the eradication of poverty, and provide revenues for sustainable human settlements development. Secondly, it aims at providing adequate and integrated environmental infrastructure facilities in all settlements by ensuring access to safe water, sanitation, drainage, and waste disposal services, with a special emphasis on providing facilities to poorer segments. Thirdly, it aims at acknowledging the potential of productive, informal, and private sectors in providing housing and services for people living in poverty. Fourthly, it aims at finding pragmatic solutions to the urban shelter deficit. It also aims at discouraging unsustainable production and consumption patterns to reduce environmental stress. It aims at promoting geographically balanced settlement structure. It aims at encouraging dialogue among public, private, and non-governmental interested parties to develop an expanded concept of the balance sheet, which recognizes that the economic, environmental, social, and civic consequences for directly and indirectly affected parties, including future generations, should be taken into account in making decisions on allocation of resources. It aims at improving access to work, goods, services, and amenities by promoting effective and environmentally sound and accessible transportation systems and communications. It aims at promoting more energy efficient technology and alternative renewable energy for human settlements. It also aims at protecting fragile ecosystems and environmentally vulnerable areas from the negative impacts of human settlements. It also aims at redeveloping poorly utilized commercial and residential land in urban centers in order to reduce pressures on productive agricultural lands on the periphery. It aims at promoting education and training on environmentally sound technologies, materials, and products. It aims at optimizing the net positive effects of structural adjustments and economic transition on sustainable human settlements. It aims at implementing programs that contribute to strengthening the vitality of rural and coastal areas. This goal aims at preventing man-made disasters by adequate regulatory framework and reducing the impacts of natural disasters and other emergencies on human settlements. It aims at taking appropriate action to manage the use of heavy metals and eliminating use of lead in order to protect human health and the environment. And it also aims at developing housing that can serve as a functional workplace for women and men. It requires the fulfillment of these objectives. Firstly, enabling local leadership, promoting democratic rule, exercising public authority, and using public resources in a manner that ensures transparent, just, and efficient governance of towns, cities, and metropolitan areas. Secondly, establishing favorable conditions for the development of the private sector in enhancing its role in sustainable human settlements development. Thirdly, involving youth in decision-making roles and sustainable livelihoods in human settlements management and development. Fourthly, encouraging the establishment of community-based organizations, civil society organizations, and other non-governmental entities that can contribute to the effort to reduce poverty and improve the quality of life in human settlements. Fifthly, mobilizing financial resources for sustainable shelter and human settlements development. Sixthly, ensuring the availability of education for all and supporting research aimed at building local capacity that promotes adequate shelter for all and sustainable human settlements development. The next goal is to ensure gender equality. For ensuring gender equality in human settlements, the agenda has these objectives. It aims at integrating gender perspectives in human settlements, related legislation, policies, programs, and projects through the application of gender-sensitive analysis. It aims at developing conceptual and practical methodologies for incorporating gender perspectives in human settlement planning, development, and evaluation, including the development of indicators. It aims at collecting, analyzing, and disseminating gender disaggregated data and information on human settlements issues, including statistical means that recognize and make visible the unremunerated work of women for use in policy and program planning and implementation. It aims at integrating a gender perspective in the design and implementation of environmentally sound and sustainable resource management mechanisms, production techniques, and infrastructure development in rural and urban areas. It aims at formulating and strengthening policies and practices to promote the full and equal participation of women in human settlement planning and decision making. Now we can discuss the recent activities of UN Habitat. As we have discussed that UN Habitat focuses on supporting governments in the formulation of policies and strategies with a view to creating and strengthening self-reliant urban planning and management capacity at both national and local levels and promoting sustainable urbanization. Technical and managerial expertise is provided for assessment of human settlement development problems and opportunities. It also identifies and analyzes policy options, designs and implements housing and urban development programs, and helps mobilize national resources and external support for improving human settlement conditions. National capacity building processes involve central government institutions, local authorities, and their partners among community-based and non-governmental organizations, universities, and research institutes. Emphasis is placed on strengthening the monitoring of governmental capacities in human settlement management. The main objectives in this regard are stimulating national and local economies that will attract domestic and international financial resources and private investment, generate employment and increase revenues, and providing a stronger financial base to support adequate shelter and sustainable human settlement development. It aims at strengthening fiscal and financial management capacity at all levels so as to fully develop the sources of revenue. It aims at enhancing public revenue through the use as appropriate of fiscal instruments that are conducive to environmentally sound practices in order to promote direct support for sustainable human settlements development. It aims at strengthening regulatory and legal frameworks to enable markets to work and in partnership with local communities and to encourage a wide range of other partnerships to finance shelter and human settlements development. It aims at promoting equal access to credit for all people. It aims at adopting, where appropriate, transparent, timely, predictable and performance-based mechanisms for the allocation of resources among different levels of governments and various sectors. It also aims at fostering the accessibility of the market for those who are less organized and informed or otherwise excluded from participation by providing subsidies where appropriate and promoting appropriate credit mechanisms and other instruments to address their needs. The next goal of UN Habitat Agenda is international cooperation. It has been recognized that there is a need of international cooperation and partnership that will assist in the implementation of national plans of action and the global plan of action and in the attainment of the goals of the Habitat Agenda. It strives at meeting the target of 0.7% of the gross national product of the developed countries for official development assistance as soon as possible to increase the share of funding for adequate shelter and human settlement development programs. It needs responsive international cooperation between public, private, non-profit, non-governmental, and community organizations. The next goal is assessing the progress. The Habitat Agenda aims at regular assessment of the achievement of the goals through various quantitative and qualitative indicators. In this regard, the well-being of children is a critical indicator. Age and gender-sensitive indicators are also used to monitor the impact of human settlements policies and practices. Any deviation from the desired path has to be carefully monitored and it has corrections to be adequately planned. In its recent developments, UN Habitat is now responsible for 7th Millennium Development Goals, which measures environmental sustainability and more specifically Target 10 and Target 11 under the MDG 7. Target 10 calls to reduce the amount of people without access to safe drinking water and basic sanitation by half until 2015. Target 11 calls for the improvement of at least 100 million slum dwellers by 2020. This goal is hoped to be achieved through UN Habitat's role in monitoring and assisting member states towards the improvement of city slums. In addition to addressing the problems of housing condition in Target 10, Target 11's topic of water and sanitation improvement was a key theme for 2013 as the MDG deadline approaches. Now let us discuss about Habitat 3. Habitat 3 is the third United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development to take place in 2016. Habitat 3 will be one of the first global conferences after the post-2015 development agenda. It is an opportunity to discuss and chart new pathways in response to the challenges of urbanization and opportunities it offers for implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. The conference promises to be unique in bringing together diverse urban actors such as governments, local authorities, civil society, private sector, academic institutions, and all relevant interest groups to review urban and housing policies affecting the future of cities within an international governance architecture with a view to generate a new urban agenda for the 21st century. Like its predecessors, Habitat 3 will define global urban priorities for the following 20 years. The decisions made at Habitat 3 will be seen across the world's city spaces for centuries to come. Third goal of UN Habitat Agenda is enablement and participation. This goal ensures the participation of all key actors in the public, private, and community sectors to play an effective role in ensuring human settlements and shelter development. In line with UN Habitat's going institutional reforms, country-level activities are focusing on the following thematic areas. These are urban legislation, land and governance, urban planning and design, the urban economy, urban basic services, housing and slum upgrading, risk reduction and rehabilitation, and research and capacity development. UN Habitat is thus not only supporting sustainable urban development but also assisting in achieving the Millennium Development Goals. As of the fourth quarter of 2012, UN Habitat had cooperation programs and projects in over 70 countries, with the majority of these in the least developed countries. As a direct consequence of increased demand from countries, UN Habitat's portfolio of projects has grown remarkably over the past decades, with its total budget for 2011-12 of $442.7 million. More than 75% of the financing of the country projects in 2011-12 came from multilateral and bilateral agencies, about 20% from UN agencies, and the remaining 5% through government's cost sharing, non-government sources, foundations, and various financial institutions. An overview of the recent activities of UN Habitat is discussed as follows. As majority of the UN projects are located in Asia and Pacific, this region accounts for 54.11% of total projects. You can see this in figure 1. The figure shows that in 2011-12, about 13% of the total projects are global projects. The global projects of the UN Habitat are not limited to one particular country or region, but cut across several regions. Further, it is important to look at the thematic distribution of global projects. During the 2011-12, almost 1/3 of the global projects have been in area of urban basic services. Figure 2 shows the breakdown between the thematic branches. It can be observed from the figure that urban basic services accounted for a large share of these projects in 2011-12. Housing and slum upgrading is the next important program, followed by urban land, legislation, and governance. However, if we look at the thematic distribution of the budget of the global projects, maximum portion of the budget is allocated to risk reduction and rehabilitation, and this constitutes 34.24% of the total budget allocations to the global projects. Next important themes are housing and slum upgrading and urban basic services, on which 21.84% and 14.27% of total budget was spent in 2011-12. The thematic distribution of the budget allocations of the global projects is shown in figure 3. Further, we have observed that Asia and Pacific region bags maximum number of UN Habitat projects. This region has 30% of world's land mass and 60% of its population. The region is the second least urbanized region in the world after Africa and ranked with 42.2% of its population residing in urban areas. In 2010, Asian cities were home to 1.76 billion people, while the world became predominantly urban in 2008. Asia is not expected to reach the 50% mark before 2020. Between 2010 and 2020, a total 400 million people will be added to the Asian cities, or 60% of the growth in the world's urban population. This region, like all the developing countries, suffer from the problems of slums, unmanaged increase in urbanization, growth of slums, urban pollution, urban poverty and inequality, and growing informal economy in the urban areas. Therefore, providing sustainable settlements in this region is a major issue. The thematic distribution of UN Habitat projects in Asia and Pacific is shown in Figure 4. The figure shows that risk reduction and rehabilitation had the largest share in total projects in the year 2011. But by the year 2012, its share fell and it came nearly equal to the share of the projects related with housing and slum upgradation. Thus, in the year 2012, housing and slum upgradation, risk reduction and rehabilitation, and urban basic services were the main habitat projects in Asia and the Pacific region. Besides, over the recent years, UN Habitat has been successful in introducing and mainstreaming climate change mitigation through successful pilot projects and regional advocacy. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. The world population is growing to be urban at a very rapid rate. It is estimated that by 2050, 2/3 of the world population would be urban. Therefore, the developing countries have to meet several economic, planning, environmental, demographic, and social challenges. These economies have to face the problem of increasing unemployment, informalization, and aggravating problem of slums, particularly under conditions of inadequate planning. In these economies, the climate and environmental change are also significantly urban concerns because they introduce and reinforce many hazards that can disrupt or destroy urban infrastructure and economies. Despite these problems, these economies are also trying hard to improve the quality of life of its citizens. The UN Habitat is increasingly helping these economies in achieving these objectives through its projects. UN Habitat is now preparing for Habitat 3 to be held in 2016, which will have focus on reinvigorating the global commitment to sustainable human settlements for a world which is rapidly being urbanized. That's all with today's lecture. I hope you must have enjoyed this lecture. Thank you.